Well, hey crafty friends, it's Hiedi Scott with DiyDreaming, and I am super excited about the projects I'm going to show you today because we're going to be decoupaging using an iron and some Mod Podge. And these new napkins that I just picked up yesterday at Queen of Hearts. They're both blue and white. This one has like some little fancy vases and urns and terracotta pots that are blue and white toile. And then this one is so adorable. Oh my goodness. It has toile blue and white style mini pumpkins all over it. So that's what we're going to be doing. And if you haven't decoupaged with an iron yet, that's kind of fun to do, and it does make the whole process a little bit easier and less messy. So the first project that we're going to get started on are these pumpkins. And I don't know if you remember when I bought these at Dollar Tree, this was in the $5 section. It has 3 pieces and you kind of assemble it and it becomes a 3D pumpkin. Okay, so the first thing I did was I just used some cheap white spray paint that we happen to have here at the house, and I sprayed one coat, and you can see it's not even perfect, but that doesn't matter. I sprayed last night one coat of white spray paint on the front and the back. Okay, then what we're gonna do is we are going to paint some Mod Podge on here, let it dry, and then I'll show you how we use the iron. So I have 3 pieces in various states of readiness. And before I paint the back of this one, I want to show you this idea that I think makes a huge difference. You guys, not only are we going to decoupage the front, but we're also going to decoupage the edges. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, and I'm going to make a couple of snips. So what have I got on my... couple of snips of my napkin just to make this so that it can go around. Okay, this is the main piece of the pumpkin, and we'll be doing this side in just a minute. But the first thing I want to do is show you how you can decoupage the sides, because I think that's going to add a lot. So when I was applying the Mod Podge on the other side, I also made sure to put a good coat of it on the edges. And basically all we're gonna do, normally I would use a piece of tissue paper, but it's just too awkward to do it on these teeny little sides. But all we're gonna do is basically run our iron along the edges a little bit at a time, and we're kind of pulling the napkin tight on the back side, and that will decoupage the edge. Okay, my iron, in case you're wondering, and I know someone will ask, I have it set on about cotton, no steam. And of course you could do this the traditional Mod Podge way, but sometimes it's fun to just do something, you know, a new way. And I think, honestly, decoupaging with an iron is a little bit easier and less messy. So let's get this accomplished, and then I'll show you how I'm going to take off the edges. Then we'll paint it with some Mod Podge. And then I will, okay, and I don't have enough paper at the very top, but that doesn't matter. I could come back and add some. And then I'll show you how to apply this. We'll put the pumpkin together. I also have a couple little pieces ready to go just to show you the process. And oh my gosh, I have been seeing a lot of blue and white sort of toile looking pumpkins this year. There are a lot of different things that you can do with your pumpkins. You don't have to do a traditional, you know, orange. And sometimes it's fun to just do something a little different. When you have these curves, it's easier to manage those if you can do a little snip. be honest with you, the other pieces that I Mod Podged on the edge were easier because they didn't have this, you know, stem at the top. So I don't know if I said any of my normal stuff. I probably didn't. I'm so excited to show you this. I just jumped right in. Anyways, as you're hopping on, love to know who's watching. If you like this idea or you have friends that you think would like this idea, feel free to sprinkle to your social media page. And for those of you that don't know what sprinkle means, it's a Facebook word, and it just means to take this video and put it on your Facebook page, or if you're in any groups that allow you to share crafting videos, to do that. Okay, we're getting there. And then we'll paint the Mod Podge on the other side of this so it can start to dry. And I'll show you on this other piece. This is one of those projects where I have various pieces in different states of readiness to go, because if I was going to do this whole project start to finish and have you sit there while things were drying, this would be an all-day project. I've been fiddling around with this trying to get ready all morning. So it's not difficult. It's just the waiting time for things to dry. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, so if you jumped on late and you're wondering, what in the world is she doing? I have decoupaged the front of this, and now I am decoupaging the edges. So let's go around it one more time. And normally, like when I do the other bits of it, I'm going to use some parchment paper to protect my iron. But as I was figuring this craft out this morning, I just realized that it's too hard to hold a piece of parchment paper on the edge and your iron. So hopefully I don't get a bunch of Mod Podge on my iron. If I do, I'll have to just clean it off. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna say that that is basically done, and this is what the back looks like. And I'm just gonna use a little piece of very fine sandpaper, and I'm gonna do it on top of this so I don't have little bits everywhere. And I'm basically just going to run my sandpaper along the edge, and it will pull off, it will sand off the bits. See, it's just gonna come right off. You can use fingernail file for this too. But what I have found is that the finer the amount of grit, this is contrary to what you might think, what I would think, the easier it is to do if you have a finer sandpaper or a higher number of whatever the number is that determines whether a piece of sandpaper is fine or coarse. Okay, I'm going to hold this up in just a second so that you can see what the edge looks like. And then we'll paint it so it can start drying, and I'll show you on this other one that I've already done what it looks like. The only thing with this project that I'm a little bit worried about is the assembly of the pumpkin, because it was already a little tight to get the three pieces to go together. And I'm just a little concerned about how much tighter the pieces will be. So basically, can you see? It's Mod Podged, whoops, here and here. And we're gonna do this next. So, let me get this out of the way. And let's do this center bit. This is easy. You could do this decoupage project in any kind of napkin that you like. It doesn't have to be this blue and white wild pumpkin, but I do think this paper napkin is adorable. Okay, so there we go. All right, so to do the next step, and then we'll jump ahead, I am using matte Mod Podge. It's nothing fancy, although I do generally think that Mod Podge is kind of expensive. So if you want, you can look online, ask Mr. Google for a recipe for homemade Mod Podge, and you can make your own. And I'm just gonna put a generous coat of this Mod Podge all the way up to the edges. That's the part you really got to make sure that you get covered. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want to make sure that you have it all the way up to the edge. I'll lift this up in just a second and show you. And there's not so many steps to do this project if you don't have a three-dimensional pumpkin like what I have here. It takes no time at all. And if you're wondering, if you hopped on late and you're wondering, where did I find a three-dimensional pumpkin? I found it at my local Dollar Tree. It was $5 and it was in the Dollar Tree Plus section. All right, so this is what it looks like basically. I'm gonna just set it right here. Okay, before I came live, I did this, and I did the edge, and I painted the back of this piece. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna move my iron over here so you can see. This is one thing that I think, well, there's a couple things I want to tell you that are important. Okay, when you're getting your napkins, your paper napkins ready to go, you want to make sure that you remove all the ply. And the nicer the napkins are, generally speaking, if they're not from Dollar Tree or Walmart, not to say that they don't have nice things, but the nicer, more expensive napkins have 3 ply. And you've got to make sure, you have to make sure that you get all 3 of the ply off. Okay, so here's the napkin, and I started it. Here's the first ply, and here is the second ply. So just be gentle, pulling it off. And then I never like to waste anything, so I just stick these in my little box down here for some time when I'm gonna need to wipe my hands off. Okay, then the next thing I wanna tell you is I wanted my pumpkins to not have winky wonky rows of the design, so I kind of paid attention to where I was putting things. And when I lay my sheet of my napkin over the top here before I start ironing, I am gonna look to make sure that I have it roughly in the same spot. So let me look at this one. So in other words, I want this to basically go all the way, whoops, I was not in my camera. This to go basically all the way around. Okay, and I put one of these little funny pumpkins kind of upside down. It doesn't have to be exact, but you know what? I'm gonna just get it as close as I can. And then I'm gonna just tack one little side down. Okay. And then I'm gonna get my piece of parchment paper. This is not wax paper. Don't use wax paper. This is parchment paper. And I'm just smoothing my napkin out on here. My iron has no steam and it's set on about cotton. I'm just gonna look to see, do I have it ironed on? When you put the heat over the top of your iron, it reactivates the Mod Podge that I painted underneath this like an hour ago that has dried. And so what that does is it makes it easier to get your napkin to lay flat. And also it prevents you from getting Mod Podge on your fingers, because then if you touch it, you end up pulling up and basically tearing little bits of your napkin. And especially around the edges, because I'm about to sand those off, I want to just make sure that it's ironed down really well. Okay, here's my pumpkin. Here's the other side of it. Let's iron this side for a minute and we'll do our thing on this. Okay. And I already decoupaged the edge from the other side. So I'm just gonna use my fine grit and I'm gonna cut some little slits where there's shapes. That makes it a little bit less likely that you're gonna tear it. Okay, and I'm just gonna basically start so when I'm finished with this, if it was an item that was going to get handled a lot, I could go back after this is cooled down and I could put a coat of Mod Podge over the top, or, whoops, I see an area that I need to do a little bit more ironing because you can see it's kind of coming up a little bit. A coat of clear matte sealer spray over the top if I want it. And I might do that after the fact. Okay. I don't think my pumpkin's gonna get handled very much. And I'm really hoping, what's going on there? Phone, dang. Anyways, you can see how that goes. I have 20% left, so we'll try to get this project finished before my phone says goodbye. Okay, and then I'm gonna sand these little pieces that are the spots where the pumpkin goes together. All right, that looks good. Okay, we're gonna let the other pumpkin that we just painted the decoupage on dry for just a few more minutes while I show you this next idea. Okay, these are, you know, the Dollar Tree, what do they call these? Color your own ornaments that Dollar Tree has this year. They have acorns and they have pumpkins. And so, before I came live, I painted the front and the back of this with white paint. And I was out of spray paint or I would have sprayed it. I just used this inexpensive Waverly white. It can be, and I get this at Walmart, but not all Walmarts carry it. It could be any brand of white paint. It does not matter at all. So I painted both sides and then I put a coat of Mod Podge on this side and it's dry. You can see that it has the Mod Podge on it when you're looking at it in person because it has a little sheen to it and the other side is flat. Okay, so we are going to put some of these napkins on this, and I'm in process working on making some beads with the exact same thing. And I think I'll probably come back live later to show you how to make a garland, a two-sided garland using these little pumpkins, some wood beads, and a napkin. But let's go ahead and put some of these pumpkins on here right now, and I'm just kind of trying to decide how do I want these to be on here. Let's tack just a little bit of it down. There we go. Okay, and here's my thing. The heat from your iron reactivates the Mod Podge so it sticks to your napkin. I'm just gonna cut this out. I'm not gonna waste this beautiful napkin because I have other things to do with it. And do know that these get really hot. Just FYI, if you're doing this project with kids, you know, caution them that the wood pieces get really hot when you iron them. Okay, let's do just a teeny tiny little once over. And then I'm going to do the sanding thing. These little pieces are way too thin to try to do anything on the edges. So when I was painting this, I just made sure that I got the edges white the best I could. But I only did one coat and it's not perfect. Uh-oh, and I've already seen a place where I've messed it up. So I'm gonna fix that. Either I didn't have enough Mod Podge on it or I was just too rough with my sandpaper. So I'm just gonna lay that little piece back down and also, I could have possibly missed that spot when I was applying my Mod Podge. It's a possibility. Okay. Yeah, I don't think you'll ever even notice it. I'll just be a little more gentle. So there's so many pretty paper napkins out there this year. I don't know, the people who make napkins must have figured out about this whole decoupaging thing, because I don't remember in past years there being so many beautiful paper napkins available. little bit more sanding. So then I will attach it to a garland of beads, and I will put in a few beads that I'm in process of decoupaging, just the old-fashioned way. And I think when I come back again live, hopefully later today, I'll show you more on this idea. Okay, so let's go to our last piece that we're still waiting on, and let me see if it's, oh, it's not dry enough. Nope, it's still pretty wet. Let me see if I can use my heat gun to speed that up a little bit. Yeah, this is working. Hey Gail, how are you doing? Hi Betty Jo. What do you guys think so far? If you like this project or this idea, I would love it if you would consider sprinkling this video to your Facebook page, or if you're in any crafting groups. Okay, Tasha's asking me, is this parchment paper? Yes, it is. It's not wax paper, it's parchment paper. Oops, that's still pretty wet right there. Hang on. Okay, let's say good enough, hopefully. All right, and what I want to do with this one is the same as what I've done with all the others. I'm going to put my paper on it, my paper napkin, and let's see, I took the time before I came live to separate these, because it can be sometimes a little difficult to get the plies pulled apart. I have to remember which side, and let's see, remembering how this is going to kind of lay on here, and I'm going to tack just a little edge of it down, getting my parchment paper. You do want your Mod Podge to be thoroughly dry before you go on to this step, and I have maybe rushed this just a little bit, but hopefully the hot glue gun got it dry enough. It looks fine, except I do have a crease. Dang it. But it's on the lower part of the pumpkin, so hopefully you won't notice it. Sometimes if your paper napkins are pretty stiff, you may want to iron them first before you iron them on your project. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So see, there's a little crease right here. It's not a huge deal. Not the end of the world, for sure. And I really just want to get the edges pulled off of this the best I can, and we'll see if we can assemble it, if it's going to fit together. If it's a struggle to do that, then I will do it off camera and come back. Okay, where is my sandpaper? Here it is. Tasha says she likes wrinkles. That's nice of you to say that. I'm really not a perfectionist. Okay, so tell me in the comments, you guys, if you would consider yourself to be a perfectionist crafter, or if you're a good enough. That's kind of my motto most of the time. I messed up a little bit, but it's good enough. I try not to sweat my little oopsies because life is hard and stressful. And when I'm crafting, I want to just be enjoying it. It's supposed to be a stress release, not a stress creator. The other thing I never do is I don't fully envision what my project's going to be at the end. Sometimes I just kind of let them evolve. Because then what you get, you're excited about, and you're not disappointed if it didn't turn out exactly how you had envisioned it. I think this is going to be beautiful, even if it has a crease or a wrinkle in it. Okay, and I will come back and clean up the edges, but let's just finish the center part and see if we can get it put back together. Hopefully we can. Okay, there is, I hate to say this, but there is a troll on. His name is Mark Jeffries, I think. And here's your social media lesson for the day. There are just tons of creeps in this world that they must think that crafters are stupid and that they'd be easy to cheat them out of their money. I don't know, I can't figure it out. But what they do is they'll say hi to you on my video, which I did not invite them to be part of this. They'll say hi to you. Sometimes they'll say, your posts are so engaging, or I tried to send you a friend request, but I couldn't get it to work. Would you mind sending me one? That's how most of these trolls operate. And just don't. Just ignore them. You can let me know if you would like. And as soon as I am done, see, I have to remember, how does this go? As soon as I am, sitting down to look at my comments, I will ban those trolls. And I usually even go the extra step to delete their comments. But they just are trying to smooth people into becoming friends, and then they're going to tell you some sob story, and they're going to try to get you to give them money or tell them your banking information or something ridiculous like that. So don't let them. And also don't be afraid, because there's really nothing they can do to you if you don't engage or become friends. Okay, this might need a little finessing. Why is that not? There we go. Ha! Dun, da, da. Oh my gosh. Isn't that different and cool? I do think I'm going to decoupage a little piece of paper up here on the top where I missed it. I'll clean everything up the best I can. And we need to figure out what kind of a doodad or decoration we want to do up at the top. So this came from Dollar Tree Plus. It was $5. It was 3 pieces of like that laminate wood stuff. I spray painted it white with some just crummy white spray paint that we had on hand here at the house. And then it took 6 pieces of napkins. I removed 2 ply used Mod Podge, let it dry, whoops, then used my iron to apply it. And I did decoupage the edges too. So what do you guys think? Isn't it cool and just different? Oh my gosh, I love it. Now I need to figure out where am I gonna put it. I don't know. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you so much for everyone who did stars. I really appreciate that. That helps me be able to keep on crafting and keep on buying supplies and keep coming up with new ideas. So I really appreciate that. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to sprinkle. Be looking here later, because if I can possibly swing it, I'll come back and show you how to make a two-sided garland, beaded garland, with one of these Dollar Tree wood pumpkins. And I'll show you how you can do decoupaged beads. So come back. If you haven't already done this, or look to see if you followed and liked this page, please do. If you want to see this next stuff I have coming up for today, tomorrow, next week, say something to me in the comments. That's the thing Facebook is looking for, is engagement, to see if you're interested. And you can say gobbledygook or supercalifragilisticexpialidocious if you can spell that, or you can just do a this, or ask me a real question, or just say, I like your dress, or I love those napkins, whatever. And anyways, I will see you guys later, hopefully to do this project later in the day. Have a blessed and wonderful rest of your day. You guys are so sweet. I hate to hang up when I'm seeing all of your super nice comments. I will get close-up pictures. I would love suggestions for how we should decorate the top of this. Does it need some raffia? Does it need a bow? What ideas do you guys have? So tell me your thoughts in the comments and let me know what questions you have. These napkins I bought at an antique store, an antique mall yesterday, but they are this brand, IHR, which stands for Ideal Home Range. So you can look on Amazon. And this is called Pumpkin Luncheon Napkin. So, okay, see you guys later.